don't forget, it ain't the first 48 with 60 minutes ago.
Come with the king, best not miss. Even the score now, we need to score now. Back on that wall, when you hear that call, you know it's going down. We play from beginning to ending, you know how we finish. Turn to the bank, gotta handle our business. We need the ball, so it's time to go get it. Play with your heart when you hit, make it feel it. You know I'm with. You come to the bank and get out of line, we sending a blitz. Say who you with? You know I'm with. That purple and black, and when we attack, you know what it is.
You're now locked into Street Talent Zone 32.
No moderator.
I was gonna say we probably should have discussed who was gonna do the intro. That was
No moderator. Yeah, we're raw dogging this one.
what are we? What is this? What was last episode? 146, 147? I don't even remember.
148. 148. So this is like 148 and a half.
Yeah, 148 and a half. We're brought to you courtesy of our own personal Deshaun Watson, aka Justin Tucker.
And Royal Farms and the Kraken.
Yeah, and Wild Turkey 101, Dunkin' Donuts, just whatever other sponsors, run my life here. I feel like Max has been bothering us for a while to do like live reaction shit to big news stories that come out. And so I don't know if we'll have a bigger news story this offseason than the Baltimore Banner report about Justin Tucker. I read it.
Yeah, as far as a news story goes, yeah. I mean, this definitely this is bigger than a roster move or a trade, or you know what I mean.
I'm not sure we'll have a trade or a roster move that is more impactful than this either. So
right.
I read the Baltimore Banner story. Number one, just as a ethical journalism thing, I think it's a dickbag move to bury a story like that behind a paywall. Absolutely hate when people do that. And so I went to go read that story, and it's popping up with the fucking, pay $1 for 12 months. Like, I'm not going to pay to read your stories. I hate to break it to you, Baltimore Banner. But so I read the story. Long and short is that 5 women who work at a massage parlor or multiple massage parlors in Baltimore, I think 2. I don't know if they named the massage parlors.
Massage parlor has a little bit of a
reputation.
Yeah, so these are like legitimate like massage therapists at spas. They're not. It's not. These are not like.
This is not. Where did Robert
shady
Kraft go?
Business?
What the fuck is the name of the Orchids of Asia or something like that? Whatever the fuck.
Right. It's not like that.
Yeah, it's not at a strip mall. Like it's a real massage place. But women came out with allegations against Tucker that were not great. I do have a hot take. I actually want to get this out of the way first. You can let me say it first, and then if you have anything you want to react to afterwards, pretty scorching hot. I am anti-sexual assault. Okay, I'm not okay with anybody who sexually assaults another human being. So I think I can say all of Zone 32 is against that. We're not. It fucking just sucks. Like he's an asshole for that. And so the 5 women come out with the allegations. They're all pretty consistent stories among one another. Down to the whole like cocky ego of like I'm Justin Tucker and wearing full Ravens gear and shit like that. The whole trying to make them touch him and he maybe ejaculated on the table, maybe he didn't. Whatever. These supposedly happened between 2012 and 2016. Then also in the article they talked to massage therapist licensed by the Ravens who said that he's nothing but professional and that those were post 2016 encounters with the ones the teams contracted. So you can take what you want from that story. Justin Tucker then came out with a statement afterwards.
That statement made him look so bad.
That statement was fucking awful because to me, somebody puts out a story about you, okay, and not a good story, obviously. And so I thought the first paragraph, where he said these are false allegations. Great, fine, like that's kind of what you want to do. But he then went and spent the bottom 75% of that apology or statement or whatever the fuck it is, just trying to bury the Baltimore Banner. Number one, Justin Tucker, they don't owe you a heads up on that story. I don't know where like why we think that they have this they got this tip. They claimed it was in January around like, the wild card that they like really ramped up investigations, but that it had, come out before the year or whatever. I don't really particularly care when the Banner started working on this, but that he's talking about he like had to contract a defamation lawyer to like get them to.
Not just that, he said the top defamation law firm in the country, which is like, dude.
So
you're like bragging about you got the best lawyer. Shut the fuck up.
What it sounds like to me is that Justin Tucker got wind of this story coming out. My assumption is that Justin Tucker is somewhat well connected in Baltimore, or somehow this got back to somebody that told Justin Tucker about it, and then he tried to strong arm, the Baltimore Banner into telling them what they were writing about him, and he like hired a lawyer to bully a fucking newspaper to give him like an advanced copy of the story, and then he's complaining that he didn't have long enough to review the story.
All right, so I have a little bit of a different take about the law firm aspect of it.
Yeah,
I think so. I know for a fact that there are NDAs that have been signed by the women involved, and that money came with the NDAs, and this was way back, like when everything happened. I assume that the NDA was drafted and presented by Justin Tucker. We don't know that for sure, but I know NDAs do exist, and I think the hiring of the defamation law firm was to strong arm the women who signed the NDAs to try and enforce the NDA, as opposed to going after the Banner about it, because the Banner.
Well, so he pretty clearly.
Banner, it's not defamation. We've seen this. So Dave Portnoy is a good example. When Business Insider put out that supposed expose, he sued them for defamation, and it was just such an uphill battle because they are a journalistic medium, so they have really protections.
You have a really hard time getting a newspaper in trouble for that
because they have sources, they have people on the record telling them this stuff. So as far as they're concerned, if it's vetted to the point where, like, if they can't disprove it, then there's no defamation involved on their part. There could be defamation involved by the people sharing the information. I'm not saying in this situation, I'm saying in general that could be the case. So I think hiring the number one defamation law firm in the country was him making a really aggressive move to try and shut down these people sharing the information.
And so the reason why I felt like I think he was going after the paper is that I think the paper would be the route back to the individuals the paper talked to, because my guess is that there's been more than 5 NDAs handed out.
Oh, for sure.
And so, he needed to know who was talking and how many women. And so you lean on the journalist is probably my guess. I mean, I'm looking at this from like, this is the act of somebody who did something he shouldn't have and is trying to fight for his life to make sure that story doesn't come out, is how that statement read to me. Is that I have a hard time thinking that 5 women tell similar stories that are not working together, from what the Banner said, like that these were 5 separate accounts.
Let's make this really fucking clear right now. I feel the same way about it that I do about Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, it's
the same thing. I mean, it's a trend of behavior, disturbing behavior, that it's the exact same behavior as Deshaun Watson. It's somebody seeking out a specific type of
individual
worker. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And to try and assert their perceived power and fame over them, to make them do something that they might not want to do or they may feel comfortable with, to get them to convince them with their power and their presence to do something that they want them to do. They're just like, they're addicted to that feeling of making people like that they want to like serve them.
And you get a lot of the I stand with Justin Tucker, guilty or innocent until proven guilty people. Like, I don't know if anything Justin Tucker did rose to the level of a crime. And even if it did, it would be really fucking hard, even if those women left the, spa and went straight to the police and reported it, directly at the time. Like, that's a really hard case to prove. So I hate the people who are, innocent until proven guilty, because we're not even really talking about criminal stuff here. And I hate the people who are
Yeah. Well, to be clear, it would, under certain circumstances, like you said, the burden to prove that's really high. And again, we're not saying he didn't do anything wrong by any means. All we're saying is it's very unlikely that he would be charged with a crime. That's all.
Right. And
very
that's
unlikely.
and that's why I'm assuming the women didn't report it at the time, is that you I never want to shame victims, and if they feel like they were victimized and this is their story to tell, then by all means go for it. You don't owe me or the general public an explanation as to why it's multiple years after the fact, because I kind of understand, it's not something that I don't know if they could have gotten a conviction out of it. I don't know if they even want a conviction out of it. As far as I'm aware, they're not suing him either. So this does not seem to be some kind of money play.
Well, probably will.
Maybe, but at the moment they're not.
Yeah. Well, and so I think I don't want to tell anyone how they did feel or how they should feel.
No.
It seems like a situation where they would be more really creeped out by it, really uncomfortable. And again, the steps that were taken to ban him from putting people in that position,
yeah. And so
that's where it's a really weird thing to do from him. It's fucking disgusting. The women, however they feel about it, they're entitled to feel that way. I feel like it's more likely they would feel really creeped out and uncomfortable and I don't ever want to be around this person again. That would be the takeaway, rather than
lock him up. He
did right. He's not like a savagely breaking into people's homes and sexually assaulting them, but he's putting people through the mental anguish and shit. No,
you got to put yourself in those therapists' fucking shoes for a minute too. This is if it's 2012, 2016, he's the fucking star kicker of the Baltimore Ravens.
Right.
You work in Baltimore, and if you're gonna throw an accusation against him and it doesn't stick, it could ruin your life. Even if it does fucking stick, it could still ruin your life. Look at the fucking 19-year-old girl that Kobe raped. I mean, Kobe is in open court saying, I thought it was consensual at the time, but after hearing her story and looking at the evidence, I definitely raped her. And then he paid her a shit ton of money, and her life was fucking ruined. I mean, I remember seeing her on the front page of tabloids and shit, and she was in Denver, not even in LA, so not even in the same city that he was fucking playing in at that point.
Right.
So, I can understand why these women did not want to come forward with it then. They came forward with it now. I don't want to play the let's wait and see how the facts roll out game here, because I don't know if there's anything that could come out that would make me feel like Justin Tucker's totally vindicated here. And
this the name of this episode is The Worst Kept Secret in Baltimore. We're not doing the we want credit thing. There's a lot of people with this, Naldo made this comment. There's a lot of people have heard this story over the years.
There are
for several
tweets
years
from 2021
and
that are
tweets, right? And I know for a fact you and I heard about this before then. We've heard people talk about it, but
multiple different people, and
it's the same exact story as in
very
this,
similar
in the
story. Yeah, and this all came out middle of the year at some point, and it was coupled with the rumor about him and his wife, allegedly splitting up, or they're in the process of divorcing. Again, no idea if that's true or not. That's not been
wouldn't surprise me at all.
But this all came around at the same time. It also kind of makes sense why he wasn't himself this year, because he's got this fucking story hanging over his head, and he's got shit going on, and so it affected him on the field. I mean, I kind of think about it like Tiger Woods. Was never the same guy after his wife fucking hit him with a golf club, and everybody knew that he was, fucking anything with a pulse, because it just totally
and pissing on anything with a pulse too.
Yeah, it broke him as a human being, and so this probably broke Justin Tucker as a human being. Fine,
right? And golf and kicking are pretty similar, where a lot of it is mental. So if you got shit that's weighing on you, you're probably going to be bad at your job.
Yeah, you got to be able to shut down the outside noise and just fucking hit or kick the ball straight. And Justin Tucker stopped being able to do that because he had shit going on. So the initial shock on Twitter was the holy fuck, this guy sucks. Basically, get him off my team, which I kind of agree. I don't really know if I want that guy around if I'm the Ravens at this point with all this shit public. So that
definitely not. I mean, definitely not.
the first wave was a lot of people, basically saying that get him the fuck out of here. And you got the small group of people of the, innocent until proven guilty, women lie, whole fucking nonsense, whatever. Same shit we saw with Watson. Same shit we see anytime an athlete gets caught up in this kind of stuff. And now the conversation has shifted to, did the Ravens know about it? And our head's going to roll because the Ravens knew about it, and just a whole bunch of like, is there a culture problem in Baltimore? All kinds of shit has come out after that. So I'm kind of like, I've tried to steer clear of it. I don't think anything that I say publicly in that situation matters. And I think that that's kind of part of the problem with Twitter, is that people are given a platform and feel like if they make a statement, and whether it's innocent until proven guilty or, fry the whole front office because they knew about this, like, nothing to really gain from sharing that opinion, because I don't think it really changes anything. The Ravens are going to do what the Ravens are going to do. I do find it strange that people are shocked that the Ravens may have protected their asset in this situation. I'm not accusing anybody in that building of wrongdoing. I don't even know if anybody in that building knew the specifics of what happened, but like, their job is to protect the Baltimore Ravens. And so if at the time that meant making sure women don't bring, public accusations towards their star kicker, I don't really see why that's so shocking. This also happened from 2012 to 2016. I don't even know if the same people are still in the front office. Maybe this is a fucking, Dick Cass operation for all I know. You know what I mean? Like, it could be anybody who was dealing with this, and so not even in the building anymore. So then you start jumping to this. Is there a culture problem in Baltimore? Is there, do we have to fire EDC because of this? Does Biscotti have to sell the team? Are we going to have to forfeit draft picks and get fined and shit like that? I don't know. It's gotten very weird in the last, probably 2 hours on Twitter with that.
Well,
with that
it's a lot of really like over dramatic reactions, and I'm gonna only limit that to men. Quite frankly, women reacting to this, they have a little bit, they have more, leeway to react however they feel appropriate. I'm not telling women how to feel, because we don't know how it is to be women. We don't know how women feel about this kind of thing, where they're put in situations where with people who they perceive to have more power. Obviously, like, men are generally going to be an imposing figure, and this is a professional athlete. So the way women are reacting is their business, 100%. I don't judge them at all. But the people who are reacting in like the way you were saying, and like the front office, and I've seen this one a lot. Oh, we'll get rid of people who want more targets, but not a sexual predator. Like, all right, now this is a really weird apples and oranges comparison you're making. I don't like it's really strange. A lot of the reactions I'm seeing, and like, jokes are one thing. I've gotten a couple jokes off. People getting jokes off, that's one thing. But
yeah,
there's been some really crazy reactions to this, and it's not reaction. The ones that are the craziest to me are the one, like you said, the innocent until proven guilty, and people who are like going back and forth about it. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. You definitely need to let this play out further before you start talking about guilt or innocent until proven guilty. When, we have not only this story, but we have a lot of people who were being told this stuff for a long time, and it all.
And I'm not, and I don't think anybody is looking for Justin Tucker to be strung up in the Inner Harbor and we throw stones at him until he dies. Like, so innocent until proven guilty to me is, are we sending this guy to jail for the rest of his life or not? Conversation, not should we cut him and tell him to go to another team? Conversation.
I think it goes without saying he needs to be cut from the team, and he's probably done in the NFL.
If there is any ounce of validity to this, he needs to be gone, because when you get into this situation where there's 5, 10, 12, 20 people all telling a similar story, I'm sure some of them are lying. Like, it's a numbers game at that point.
Sure.
But if one is enough, if one of those 20 people is telling the truth, then he's got to go. and it's just
And it's more likely that it's
simple.
most of them are telling the truth, and maybe there's a few people who tried to get in on it, like they're opportunists or something. That would be more likely than only one is telling the truth and 19 are not.
Yeah, like
And
you look
that's
at,
not a real number. By the way, I'm just
no,
throwing numbers out. But
no, and I'm sure the number's going to grow. That's just
100% it will. Yeah.
that is how these things work. I mean, you get a whistleblower, and then the floodgates open, and so I'm sure we'll have some number that fan bases will tweet at us for years on end saying, this is what your kicker did. And like, it is what it is. I think Ray Rice kind of fucked the Ravens here with this, with his whole situation. And that's why you get oh, we cut divas, but this is allowed to happen behind closed doors, reaction from people, because Ray Rice happened, was that 2014? I think it was right before the 2014 season that we ended up cutting him. It was September of 2014. That was now 11 years ago at this point. Like it's been a fucking while since that happened. So I don't think a lot of people remember that Ray Rice got arrested initially in February. So the team knew about that in February of 2014. In July of 2014, the league decided to suspend him for the 2 games. That was after the court case got cleared up. And I think Biscotti and Ozzie Newsome have talked about that. Ray Rice and his wife came to them and told them their version of events, and, talked about going to counseling and all this kind of stuff. And, everybody was kind of happy with it. And so that's why they were okay with keeping Ray Rice around. And then that casino they were at in Atlantic City closed in September of 2014. And TMZ magically gets the security footage. It comes out to the public. And now all of a sudden he's cut and, suspended indefinitely from the NFL. And that was clearly like a knee-jerk reaction to not only just how that video looked and the horrible optics it was, but like that he lied to them. So I don't think the Ravens have ever been this choir boy franchise that they are sort of, some people say it as like a badge of honor that the Ravens are like this choir boy and good guy franchise. And some people say it in a mocking tone to be like, we only draft choir boys. But I don't think anybody's right. We've had guys with some questionable rap sheets here for basically the entirety of the franchise. And so I feel like that's why you're getting these. Well, the front office had to know and had to bury this because they had to keep up this image. And it's not an image that they're really trying to portray. I don't think. I mean, I could be totally off base with that, but when I don't ever see Ravens people being the ones talking about that. Oh, we don't have guys arrested or anything like that. Like that's fans talking about that shit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
no, I mean, I would be surprised if there was like nefarious behavior from the organization here.
I would
be surprised by that.
I would think the worst thing you could see from the organization out of this is that they caught wind of something going on, and whether it was Chad Steele or whoever on that like PR team kind of worked to squash it behind the scenes, so that they again protected their guy and tried to settle something quietly. I don't know if they would ever know the severity of the allegations or really ever care about the severity of the allegations, that they were really just trying to squash a story from coming out, which again, that's their job. Like, I hate to break it to you, but teams have security people, that their job is to like be in touch with local police and know when something involving one of their players goes on. I mean, like I'm going to baseball here, but I don't know if you remember the Miguel Cabrera story, that he was out at a bar until 3:00 in the morning the night before a 1:00 game or 1:00 in the afternoon game, and Dave Dombrowski came and picked him up at the bar because a cop saw him trying to leave the bar and get in his car and was like, "You can't do that." And so they called Dave Dombrowski. They called the security guy who called Dave Dombrowski, and then like he ended up going and picking him up from the bar. Like that's what organizations do, is that they try to protect their guys and make sure their guys don't get into trouble. So if that's what the Ravens did for Justin Tucker, I don't love it, but like that's kind of their job.
Yeah.
And
well,
good.
We're if this becomes a legal matter, we're going to find all this out.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing, is that if this ever does escalate past a Baltimore Banner story, like a lot more information will be made public. And then if you want to crucify somebody who you feel like overstepped and did too much to protect Justin Tucker, by all means, because you'll have the
Yeah.
facts at that point.
Right. The big thing to me, when I said I'd be surprised, it feels like some people are trying to make it out to be like there's some conspiracy at the top of the organization, which that I find to be highly unlikely, improbable. Like you said, if something was going on and someone behind the scenes did some background work to keep it a lid on it, that I wouldn't be so surprised by. But if it's some massive conspiracy amongst all the big decision makers, that would be very surprising to me. I think that they would actively work to make sure that the people at the top didn't know about it.
Did you watch House of Cards?
Yeah.
So I'm sure the Ravens have a Douglas Stamper
Right.
type guy around. And
that's Chad Steele. I mean, that's Chad Steele.
Yeah. So again, part of that role is to create a barrier from upper management to that kind of shit that goes on. And then he only brings the big shit to them. So somebody in the building might have known, somebody in the building might have helped him, covered it up, whatever fucking, terminology you want to use. I doubt that they brought it to Steve Biscotti's table or, EDC or Harbaugh or really anyone.
Or Ozzy, yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, and that's
I don't think they're bringing that to the football people.
I keep saying
until it becomes a real big problem that's going to affect football.
I keep saying EDC, but EDC wasn't even the GM at the point that this happened. So he has no culpability in this. But I've seen multiple people being like, "Well, you got to fire EDC now." It's like that's just a very dumb knee-jerk reaction to
huge jump and without any logic behind it. Yeah.
And part of that was the fire was stoked by our favorite war criminal, Ben Albright. Yep. In case people don't know, just one of the biggest bags of shit on the internet. People may remember the more recent thing where he had the whole public blowout with his ex-girlfriend that he owed $40,000 to.
I forgot all about this.
Yeah, that it started with where he was like, I broke up with my girlfriend because I sexted my ex and posted that for some reason. And then it just escalated into this whole thing where she was paying the rent on the house and he was paying this. And they had these complicated text exchange about, how much money was spent. And it turned out he owed her money or whatever. But so people remember that about him. People don't remember the old shit. He wiped his entire Twitter history at one point because there were just so many fucking lies about his past that people were digging into and exposing. Watched the movie Valkyrie and pretended that his grandfather was part of the plot to assassinate Hitler. Pretended that one of his grandparents helped land on the moon, and then there was other shit that he went to, I don't know, Arkansas, Little Rock and played football, but there's no proof that he ever enrolled in that school. So whole myriad of wild lies that he told for years. And then on top of that, he's also a war criminal. I'm not making that up. He gave an interview where he talked about how he used to lock prisoners of war in a metal shipping container in the middle of Iraq, or Afghanistan. I don't even fucking remember where we were. I think it was Afghanistan at that point. But that he would lock them in there. The temperature would get up to 120 degrees. There'd be no lights. He wouldn't give them water or food, and he'd bang on the outside of the thing to make sure that they stayed awake, or blast rock and roll music. And he did this for 3 years, and then all of a sudden just came to this epiphany of oh, I might be torturing these people. This might be bad. I should tell somebody. And then was oh, it wasn't my fault because it was it's just what we did here. I was following orders. And so this guy raising the concern that the Ravens knew about it for this long, you knew individuals were being tortured in Afghanistan and you said nothing about it. So you did the same thing you're accusing the Ravens of, and just going on this fucking soapbox talking about the organization. Fuck that guy though. Honestly, so he's had me blocked forever because every time that I see his name, I call him a war criminal. I mean, I throw a lot of accusations online that aren't totally accurate. Usually they're rooted in some kind of truth, and I'm just kind of over exaggerating them for a laugh. like calling Will a midget. The reality is that a midget's under 5 feet tall, and Will's like 5'4", so he's not like a legitimate midget. But I call him a midget online because it's funny. But like, you know, when I call Ben Albright a war criminal, like he is a legitimate war criminal. Like could be brought up on, you know, court-martialed and brought up on whatever fucking charges they can hit him with.
So he became a whistleblower so that he could avoid that.
Yeah, so he participated in it, you know, tortured the fuck out of people for years, and then was like, "Oh, guys, it's them. They're the ones torturing them. I didn't do anything, but he really did."
He's
and
a
also,
rat.
he's a rat fuck. But that's the guy who's like leading the charge against the Ravens, which you can't do that. Like, if you're gonna follow anybody into battle on Twitter, that's not the guy to follow because he'll just abandon you. He'll actually turn around and be like, "Oh, guys, it's them. They started that narrative, not me," and delete all his tweets.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, end of the day, Justin Tucker's got to go. I would have been fine with him getting cut just because he was not good at kicking this year, but this is an absolute, like, there's no, you know, no wiggle room. He needs to go. Period.
That's all. That's kind of the, I don't know, like fucked up part of this thing is that like I don't care about the conversation around it because he's no longer good at football and he's a bad person. So
Right.
like he's got no redeeming qualities because I've always thought that if a guy has baggage but can do something for you on the field, you know, teams will put up with a certain amount of baggage or baggage to a certain point if the production is there. And so
This is why
Justin
Antonio
Tucker,
Brown hasn't had a job since he walked off that field.
yeah, because you know
He could have played and been really good for another 2-3 years probably. So
yeah, and the baggage just started to outweigh the production for him. Or, you know, like you look at Randy Moss's time in New England. I think he was there for 2.5 years, and you know, for 2 years put up phenomenal fucking numbers, and then started kind of being like a whiny little bitch, and they kicked him to the curb. Manny Ramirez in Boston, it was great. They won 2 World Series, and then he started throwing old men down the stairs because he wouldn't get them, you know, fucking 87 tickets to a Yankee game 10 minutes before it started. And so, like, you cut bait with that guy and you move on.
Earl Thomas.
Yeah, again, Earl Thomas was great, you know, production-wise, and then he starts, you know, double teaming girls with his brother and gets held at gunpoint in the offseason, and then teams like, and on top of that, and, you know, punching teammates and shit, like, he's just got stuff we don't want to deal with anymore, so they got rid of him. So for me, it's Justin Tucker was, like, on thin ice already because of his performance. Same thing with Ray Rice. Again, people forget Ray Rice was fucking amazing in 2012. He was not amazing in 2013. And then the video comes out for the next year, and they kind of, all right, you know, the off-field baggage outweighed the production at that point, so you get rid of him. Justin Tucker put up his worst year of his career, and then has this come out. So, like, see you later, buddy. Like, just get off the team.
Yeah, and I want to make one thing clear. I want Mark Andrews off the team, but he's a great person.
Allegedly.
As far as I know.
Yeah. I mean, he was at the bar with Joe Mixon when Joe Mixon punched a girl, but people don't talk about that enough. Standing outside letting his friend assault an innocent white lady was a wild move by Mike Andrews. Jesus. Should I just call him Mike from now on? He's not even Mark.
Maybe Mike is good. Maybe Mike is good in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Mike is good. Mark Andrews has got to be the happiest fucking person in the world right now, too.
Well, Mark, totally... I know that a lot of people have shifted their attention, not me.
No.
I still want you out of here.
Well, see, I don't know. The problem is he's dead to me, so, like, I'm going to forget that he exists.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if we have much else. I think that Will and I just wanted to basically come on and say, like, fuck Justin Tucker and get him off the team.
Zone 32 is anti-Justin Tucker. And this is big because I have a dog named Tucker. I have to live with this. But to be clear, the dog did come with the name, but it was a happy coincidence at the time. So
like I
want him gone, though. Zone 32, all the guys who were not here agree with this as well. We're not reserving judgment here. He needs to be gone.
I'm too fucking lazy to get up and look. I might have the Tucker jersey hanging up there, but I have Justin Tucker jersey with like American flag numbers. I can't burn that, right? I feel like then
you might get arrested.
Yeah, I'm disrespecting the flag. It's Trump's America. I don't know if I can get away with that.
Cash Patel's going to show up at your house.
Yeah, just fucking be outside in 5 minutes. I look upstairs and there's just fucking police lights all over my front yard.
Montante is going to be flying drones over your house if you do that.
Yeah, he's busy on a live stream with noted Ravens troll Barstool Advisor. So
Barstool Advisor's here.
oh, he's in the comments.
Yeah.
No, what is he saying? It's a tough day for the flock.
He's.
Oh,
All he said was "Wow."
Somebody texted. Somebody texted me the story before I opened Twitter. So like I saw it, and I was like, oh Jesus! So I like opened Twitter to see what the shitstorm going on was, and it turned out it was like a minute after it was tweeted, and I was just waiting. I was like, the group GM with Will and BA is gonna pop up with him saying something, and sure enough, it did. Without fail.
We got a bunch of Minute fans. Look, we got Visionless Dave sending an incorrect message. Says shame on Zone 32 for harboring a sexual deviant. That's not true. That's not accurate.
I don't pay his salary, VD.
And we've very much said we're not in on Justin Tucker. So yeah, I think that's it. I mean,
put me in the call, coach.
I saw that, I was like, I know this motherfucker doesn't want to be on the call.
Well, I mean, she doxed herself the other day.
Yeah.
So I guess this is Lamar. Everybody should know Lamar Translator is run by Lamar Jackson's baby mama, Jamie Taylor, and has been for years. That's something that Will and I knew before the Tucker story and haven't told anybody about. So,
yep.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Miss Jamie. All right. I haven't gotten sexually harassed in the comments yet, so I'm gonna.
No, yeah.
We'll chalk this one up as a win for tonight.
Did Lamar Translator have like a fucking some sort of disguise on or something? Because,
dude, I was ready to be on. Send him the link. Send her the link.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Oh shit.
Ma'am, are you aware this is being broadcast to at least 15 people right now? Possibly more.
213.
213 people are watching. Are you ready to come out to the world as Jamie Taylor and that you've been running an account? No. I knew it. Pussy note. What? How the fuck else would you be watching this unless it was live streamed, you moron? What do you think? Will and I sent you like a private tweet to watch us record? Oh, Jesus Christ.
It would be so fucking funny if Lamar Translator did try to get on, but accidentally
didn't like cover their face or something.
Clicked with like a personal account and just like their whole name on the screen.
Yeah, fucking full name, full face, everything. Yeah, that'll happen someday.
All right, well, if we're not going to get a Lamar Translator, appearance, we're going to end this thing. I don't think there's anything left to say.
Yeah, no, just cut Justin Tucker and don't, make sure you get consent before you do weird shit with women.
Yeah, or yeah, right. I mean,
always consent. You can do whatever weird shit you want in the privacy of your own home. I'm not going to judge you for it. Just as long as it's two consenting adults. Adults, right. Keyword.
Adults and consent. Those are the key components of this transaction.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think of those as like the phrase of the day. Consent, adult.
Yep. All right, we're going to end it on that.
All right.
No dying.
Yeah, no dying. I'm not doing that.